He thought it would be a casual visit to his neighbor's house, but what he walked into was beyond anything he expected. Dani turned around, panicking, desperately trying to call for help. But before he could even get far, two men dressed in black started walking toward his. Sensing danger, Dani quickly changed direction and ran into the nearby woods. Suddenly, gunshots rang out behind his. The bullets missed by just inches, whizzing past his as he sprinted. In his panic, Dani slipped and tumbled down a slope, hitting the ground hard. Despite the pain searing through his body, he forced himself up and kept running. When he came across a pond, he dove straight into the icy water. The cold hit us like a shock, numbing his pain momentarily. But before he could catch his breath, he saw one of the men heading straight toward his. With his face barely above water, he stayed as still and silent as possible, terrified of becoming just onto this lifeless body. The man fired a few shots into the pond, missing his. Dani knew this was his chance. When the man got close, Dani suddenly grabbed his hand holding the weapon and, using the momentum of the water, pulled him in. Underwater, a fierce struggle broke out. Dani fought with everything he had. Fortunately, the man couldn't breathe well and soon began to weaken. Sensing victory, Dani wrapped one arm tightly around his neck while using his Othis hand to stab a pen he had tied to his shoelace into his neck. Moments later, the man stopped moving. Dani gasped for air, trembling, but he didn't waste a second. He got out of the water and ran, too scared to stop. In his rush, he didn't realize he had dropped the blood-stained pen on the shore. After what felt like hours of running, Dani collapsed to the ground, exhausted. His body was completely drained, but his mind remained alert. Eventually, he fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up, it was already morning. The nightmare from the day before played over in his mind. Shaken, he headed into town and reported everything to the police. As soon as the authorities heard about a possible homicide, they rooted to the neighbor's house to investigate. But when they arrived, the house was spotless, no blood, no signs of a struggle. Everything was wiped clean. Even the security cameras had been mysteriously turned off. It was clear the killer had erased every trace. While Dani was trying to explain what he had seen, one officer found something in a bush nearby, a torn watch strap. It matched the one his neighbor had been wearing. Digging deeper, the police learned the car parked at the neighbor's house was a rental. The name used to rent it turned out to be fake. At the same time, someone had slashed the tires of Dani's car parked near his home. Dani believed it was a warning from the killer. But instead of taking it seriously, the officers seemed skeptical and even scolded his. After they left, Dani called a tow truck to deal with the tire situation. But the tow truck driver noticed something strange. A hidden tracker had been placed on his car. His heart sank. Dani realized he was being watched. Before leaving town, he went back to the rental car his neighbor had used and quietly opened the door, retrieving a business card left behind. Dani had noticed the card earlier and believed it could lead to something important. He returned home to study it. But the moment he sat down, something felt off. The photo frames on his table had been moved, and these were clear signs that the lock on his balcony had been tampered with. The killer had already found his. In a panic, Dani called the police again. But the officer on the line seemed indifferent, casually jotting down his report. That's when Dani realized local police wouldn't be able to protect his. He turned to a friend for help, who suggested he move to a hotel. Dani followed the advice immediately. The next morning, guided by the address on the business card, he arrived at a home furnishings store called Simon Interiors. He learned that his neighbor's real name was Mark Simon, and he was the store's owner. Years ago, Mark had been presumed dead, but in reality, he and his wife had been living apart due to personal issues. Although Dani didn't get much useful information, he still decided to visit his wife's house. Unfortunately, the woman knew nothing about Mark's recent activities. With no Othis leads, Dani left his business card with his, hoping he might reach out if he remembered anything. Feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, Dani stopped by a restaurant. That's when a man who introduced himself as Agent Ness from the Bureau of Investigation approached his. Dani was confused. Agent Ness explained he was investigating a murder case, and believed what Dani saw at the mountain could be tied to the same suspect. He asked Dani if he had heard of a group called the Forged Brotheshood. When he looked puzzled, Ness revealed that the man involved in the attack was a known member of the organization. Ness pulled up his laptop and showed his images and reports linked to a figure known as Number 14. As a media commentator, Dani instantly recognized him. Not only did he know him, he had met him face to face not long ago. Could this all be a plot against his? Dani was shaken. Ness handed us his card and said they could work together to uncover the truth. Before leaving, he also reminded us that his leg injury needed proper medical attention. Later, Dani went to the hospital, still replaying his conversation with Ness in his mind. That's when two white men suddenly approached his. They wasted no time and asked us directly about Number 14. Dani was caught off guard. When he hesitated, one of the men subtly threatened us by mentioning his home and personal details. As they walked away, Dani, frightened, ignored the pain in his leg and rushed outside. Just then, a woman named Laura, who introduced herself as a TV host, stopped Dani. When Laura said he was investigating the same murder case, Dani paused. Laura gave us a business card and said to contact us if needed. Dani didn't waste time. He went straight to his wife's place, got his family, and moved them into a hotel for safety. Once things were settled, he returned home, finally allowing himself to relax. He decided to call Laura. But strangely, no one answered. The next day, Dani saw a shocking news report. Laura had suffered a sudden heart attack and was now in the ICU. Dani broke into a cold sweat. This was no coincidence. And the nightmare wasn't over. When he returned to his car, he found a blood-stained watch hidden under the back seat, the same watch his neighbor had been wearing. His whole body turned cold.